So, hello there, Georgi. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here on the podcast. I will give you a brief introduction of how I got to know Georgi. Actually, I'm a paying customer of their software company Signalbase, and I'll later tell you how Georgi converted me because he pitched me with one of the best ways possible. But before we head into our get to know each other story, I'll let you, Georgi, introduce yourself. Let us maybe know how you got into the go-to-market space and what inspired you to start Signalbase, and then we'll talk about how you closed us.
It was quite a big question. So, how far back in history would you like to know?
Maybe just before you started Signalbase. Let's
Okay,
let's go there.
right. So, last year I was acting as a head of growth or head of marketing, the same thing in that case, because the agency where I worked was a true pressure cooker for myself.
Mhm.
So, imagine me fresh out of university, 23 years old, stepping into the shoes of people who are CMO level executives with 4 exits each one of them under their belts. So that's 15 exits under overall the company's belt. And I step in, and the guys gave me so much responsibility when it comes to building the first vetted go-to-market conference in Amsterdam ever done in that scale. We bet also in a very unique format, so that kind of made it even more special because I need to pitch to the European landscape a brand new format of conference. But either way, whenever we started with the conference in June, we had only 30 tickets sold, and those 30 tickets were based on a traditional outbound, right? Like firmographics, you target head of marketing, marketing managers, you name it, someone that really gets it, based on firmographic at least. But what we simply realized quite fast is that the relevance factor was missing because on paper you're targeting the right people, but why are you reaching out to those people? And funny enough, there were people who asked us, hey, out of the all marketing leaders, why do you want me? Like, it's vetted, I get it, you have selected me, do you want to pitch me something? This whole relationship with invite to in-person events is generally damaged, so we needed to educate people about the fact that no, we actually want to lead with value. Either way, and then all of a sudden it was June, right? The conference is in September, and we have only 30 tickets. So how did we manage to turn it around? Easy, relevance. I started jumping around the office, doing push-ups, like making content, and then everyone that engaged with that particular content piece, I pitched directly if they're an ICP. By the time they converted, I created this frame for them that they're going to join our conference. And that touch point became the start of a signal-based engine that I didn't know I was designing at that point of time. So number one, I start pushing thought leadership ads from this post to other ICP-like clients. And I use it also as a retargeting material. Now, you know the rule of 5, right? Or the rule of 7, that each one of the people that you are surrounded is like 5 or 7 people away from you. So in that regard, because especially how dense but small is the market, everyone know one another in the Netherlands. And when you see me and you going into a conference, you probably know that Frank is interested in joining, Frank from Salesforce, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
So in that regard, I would pitch slap quote unquote Frank with a message, hey, Georgie is coming. I just saw that you know also Tim. So are you coming? So therefore, I started leveraging this scarcity and familiarity triggers towards my engine.
Such a
And
primal instincts which you're tapping in there, FOMO,
yep,
inducing. They just want to be part of it.
that's marketing. That's
Yes,
marketing.
it
That's
is.
growth, right? Like you want to be part of something. And whenever you see that there is Nathan Latka there and a few other very seasoned leaders, you truly understand, oh, okay, if they're going on, I need to go, right? So you use also the credibility of the guys that are coming to the conference. And just like that, in September, with sleepless amount of nights and days, I managed to pull it off, and I had 210 vetted go-to-market executives from companies like Stripe. We had even someone from Clay joining us and things like this before Clay actually exploded last year. So that's where I understood, hey, there is value in signals, right? And just by coincidence, at that point of time, my current co-founders were clients of mine for the agency, and they just acquired what it's now known as Signalbase. Previously, the platform was called Leads on Trees, and it generated 3,000 euros in lifetime deals. So based on that, I got recruited directly as the new CEO to take the product and make something out of it. We didn't know if it's going to be a huge platform or something small. Ideally, the thought process was 10K MRR, and then you go from there. Like, you top it up. It's a lifestyle business. But when I step in, I was like, no, we can make it like a proper $1 million business. So let's push the gas on the pedal and broaden the vision. At that point, we had only funding in merger and acquisition as signals, but the platform was extremely broken. So whatever you use right now, endless amount of iterations jumped into our LLM models and sourcing logics and whatnot. So yeah, that's how everything started. And in November last year, I booked a flight to Thailand, and we went on a quote-unquote founder bro lock-in type of retreat, where we were 10 founders from the Netherlands locked in an office with a co-living next to it. And it was the most intense month that I have ever come across. But at the end of it, we managed to came out victorious with 1.5K of MRR and a bunch of hope that, holy cow, we can build actually something quite nice. And a very critical thing that you need to know, because now the whole situation is different, is that the original founder of the company on paper was still working for us. So that was our first developer, and together with my CTPO, or my co-founder, who's technical, they built Signalbase.
Very interesting. So maybe if I can sum up your whole philosophy, I can show the audience really briefly how Georgi reached out to me, because it perfectly summarizes everything. It summarizes signal-based outbound. It summarizes psychology of being a part of a movement. So if you allow me to expose your tactics and hacks, what Georgi has done is, at the time, I was just starting to develop our new platform, and we didn't have any signals yet. So he perfectly identified, hey, it's a new GTM tool that they're building, and they are using stale data. So he came in with the right pitch, and I completely ignored it. I actually saw it and I was like, it's interesting, but I have other things to do. He followed up with a personalized message referencing one of our teammates back then. And later on, he also followed up after I ignored him a second time with a cheeky note where he mentioned one of our competitors that they're using Signalbase. So that was essentially also for me the tipping point, where I was like, I want to be part of it. I want to also have Signal-based data in my application, because of course, if my competitors have it, then I kind of need to pull through. And then I tested out, and I actually really liked the signals. So for the audience who is listening, to sum it up, what is the difference between Signalbase and, let's say, like a stale database like Apollo is, they're giving you a live feed of signals, which can be hiring signals, job changes, merger and acquisitions, promotions, if I'm not wrong, and
funding.
news. Is this the last one?
Yeah. So it's the 4 evergreen sources, and right now we are looking into adding custom signals. So spoiler
That's the next
alert.
question I wanted to ask.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. Next signal wise, we're looking at tech stack, and then afterwards, because we just drop our new enrichment capabilities, meaning that you don't need to rely on sourcing signals only for the companies that we give you via our live stream, but also give you signals to the companies that you really want. So in that case, we have the 2 parts of the platform. Now that we have this and are stabilizing it, we're looking forward to, having a proper signal intelligence for the vendors out there.
Yeah, because the argument I get often, and which is quite right, is that everybody is having these signals nowadays. Everybody can just get a license from a signal vendor, and in that sense, everybody is also targeting the same signals. So how do you think about it, about the evergreen signals? And then maybe as the next topic, what is the reason of creating custom signals in that sense?
Yeah, this is a very good question, and it's something that I'm trying to fight within every call. So
My bad. I'll
that's
save you maybe a couple of calls if someone is listening. So
that's okay. That's okay. No, but truthfully, it's a part of a larger education piece that needs to take place within the whole go-to-market industry. So I don't mind repeating it over and over again. Ultimately, yes, everyone can have the same signals, but also everyone can have Clay. Also, everyone can have Cloud Code. Also, everyone has access to the internet. Does everyone operate like a multi-billionaire or millionaire? I don't think so. So having access to data doesn't mean that you're overpowering someone else. Having access to this data and knowing how strategically to turn it into your advantage is where it gets interesting. And again, we have seen it with the evolution of AI and cloud code and all the startups that are being built, right? Funny enough, I just ran a research also on the funding rounds, and you can see that the guys who are proactive and, talking about VC-backed companies in this case, right? But the guys who really survive are those who are very aggressive with their own developments and keep on staying curious, right? And there is a huge gap in the number of Series A companies right now that are being funded and seed-based companies. I think it's right now, like based on the data, I can state two things. Number one, it's very hard still to reach 1 million of MRR. Like I think only 10% or 1%, I don't remember the article where I led, but only 10%, let's call it 10% to be a little bit more optimistic. Only 10% of the startups out there are hitting 1 million of MRR, if you think about it. The rest, they either die or they run out of cash, which is also kind of dying, but it's like there are multiple things that eats up the market, and this is the reason why the average Series A round jumped from 12 million to 16 million at the moment, because right when investors sense that you're able to really capitalize on the momentum and keep on going further with the current tools that you have and you're strategically implementing it, you manage to scale further. I hope that answered the question. Now to the other part about whether they are valuable and what is like how you need to treat them. I do believe that they're extremely valuable still, especially for someone that has a larger TAM, because of the fact that you happen to get a view for who right now have budget, right?
yes.
A lot of SDRs previously, including myself when trying to sell a net text type of community subscriptions, right, to other companies, I operated like a net tech startup. So what does that mean? EdTech startups are targeting educational budgets. Now these educational budgets stack quarterly or annually. Once this budget is burned, no matter how much that lead really wants to use you, they won't use you, right? No budget. That simple. And this is the reason why I say no matter how much you spray, at the end of the day, even if it's just interesting for them, yes, obviously, you want to stay top of mind also for them while they don't have a budget in place, but that's another separate topic to have. Ideally, you just give the ability to SDR to talk to only people that have budget right now and they resonate, right? Like that's fundamentally how it works. So based on that one, you can set up custom hypothesis, right? That will follow along. If they have funding, they probably will hire, they probably will invest in product, yada, yada, yada. So this is where the custom signal came in play, and it's very tailored to the product that you have, right? And the problem that you're solving. So let me give you an example. The custom signal that I use for you is the fact that you have...
You sneaky one.
Yes. So you have a database.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a database, that means that you're storing data. If you store data, that means that your data is not live anymore.
You're right.
So in that regard, that's my custom signal. Another custom signal or another variation of this custom signal is that if you already are using complementary tools that are closer to mine, right? Or even competitors. Sometimes you can, there, in my case, vendors who use all kinds of competitors out there, but they still want Signalbase because it's just net new, and they compare it with other vendors, which is kind of sick. Now, if I don't have this, then I wouldn't know exactly how to send you a message. So all of the signals that you collect from the space, they're for you to help you craft a better message, right? And I saw you interacted on this post, which is the reason why I don't believe that social listening works so best as people claim to be, or it should work only on dedicated posts. Mind you, I just tested it this week,
Yep.
and I can see a bit of results, but it's not as crazy as people expect it to be. Because also the fact that someone comments doesn't mean that they're ready to buy, right? Like the buying journey is way larger.
That's right. That's right. Even though I have to say, for us, it's performing really, really strong, like post engagers. But it's just a foot in the door, and it doesn't specifically means that they have a budget open to invest. So probably the absolute best is if you have signals layered on top of each other. But this brings me actually to my next question, because the problem that I'm seeing with signals is that they're quite sparse, especially if you have a very specific offer. Let's say the job hiring signals for a specific position in the German-speaking part is very sparse. How do you deal with that kind of thing? Do you just do more personal outbound, or do you layer multiple signals in your GTM motion? How do you deal with that? Or am I doing something wrong when you get very sparse signals?
Can you define sparse a bit?
Sparse in the sense of that on a monthly part, you only get like 50 signals.
Okay. Question, do you really need more than 50?
That's a good question. Like the old mindset, which I think probably most of the GTM market is stuck in, is that they want to have a massive TAM and they want to have a lot of leads. But you're right, kind of, if you have an SDR which is really targeting specific companies, it doesn't require that many companies, right?
Also, if your ACV is ginormous, it won't fit massive amount of the market, right?
So the question is like, for which types of companies is signals the most valuable? What do you say?
I think for every type of company, the question is which signals and how you structure them accordingly to your signal-based go-to-market engine. Because of the fact that your signal-based engine determines also how much attention you put in particular accounts, right? If you have, let's say, more than 600 accounts in your TAM, which I feel like even with 600 doing signal-based go-to-market is going to be kind of tough. If we talk ABM type of approach, so I think you would need less signals if your TAM is larger. You just need to find like a budget one, or something that indicates that they are already looking into it or are familiar with it. And here is where, outside of the job changes, I do recommend some filters like certifications, tech stack, and let's say someone, if it's an expert in particular tooling, all of these things that indicate, hey, I'm aware of, if you pitch me that I'll get it, rather than just going very blindly. And all of these are just contextual pieces that can help you to narrow down your targeting, right? Now, when we...
But let me fight this.
Okay, sure, go.
Even though I agree, I agree to a certain degree. Like, I think we in the GTM space overemphasize the whole signals a bit too much, and we forget about the effectiveness of brute forcing, even though it's absolutely not elegant. But if you have a TAM, and instead of waiting for a signal to occur on your account list, you can just send an email every 3 months to the whole TAM, because then you will reach the ones who are actively in the signal. So you need less engineering to set up the whole system, and you still reach you reach essentially your whole TAM and are top of mind all the time. Of course, this requires more infra overhead. It requires probably exchanging your email inboxes more because you're landing more in spam. But don't you
It's a good argument. It's a good argument for sure. I mean, you can do that. The thing is, the probability for you to be ignored is just higher, right? I'm talking about relevance. Obviously, you can do it, and obviously, the best thing, especially if you have multiple ICPs, which I do have, it's very good to have. So right now I have 2 ICPs. I don't mind sharing this, by the way. Number one is, of course, vendors. There it's more personalized, more signals, more things like this. If it's my secondary ICP, which is agencies, because nowadays they also need to have, Signal infrastructure for their workflows or agents and whatnot. Then I go a little
GTM
bit more.
agencies or
Yeah, yeah.
just any agency?
No, GTM, like lead
Yeah.
gen and things like this. For instance, Oliver from the Outbound Catalyst use it. Like I'm talking to Call IQ, use Understories using us too, and all of these great names. So whenever there is someone who gets the value of having a Signal infra, it just resonates so much, right? And whenever they know how to play around it, that's perfect. So that's the reason why our secondary ICP, which is more laid back, like I'm not so aggressive with it, we do like automated stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, we actually have a similar motion where we have again ICP scoring, and the tier one leads, even though it's controversial as like a Claude code native GTM OS, so to say, that we do manual outbound, but I think it's actually the very important part in order to convert your dream 100 list, because it's a ripple effect in this
Yeah.
in this type of business.
On the other
Yeah,
side, it's also nice because you build a personal relationship with them,
agreed, agreed.
which is what we have, right? Like,
Yeah, agreed.
if that
You
was
got me hooked in,
automated,
man.
yeah, like if no, but seriously,
No,
like
no,
if
no.
that was automated, that would have been harder. Like it's the same with me and Abdul from Master Inbox, for instance. Me and Frank, we chat left and right whenever we see some, personal business wins. Like one of his team members posted that she finally managed to buy a house, and I'm like, dude, you're such a great, inspiration for building a strong team with strong values that it's winning. And he was like, kudos for you to being a good boss.
So maybe tell me now that we're at personal wins. Of course, you don't need to share anything sensitive, but how is Signalbase currently growing? What is the state of the business? You joined it a bit later after the founding, but
Yeah.
you took over. So how is the transformation since you joined?
Truthfully, we did had some laid backs, and unfortunately, we are not there where I want us to be. Like I'm dreaming big, right? But it is what it is. We're definitely below 100K of MRR, and
That's still
in
pretty
that
good.
sense, yeah, but we're below it. And profitability is something that we're chasing from year one, and it's definitely getting closer. But the thing is, for me to have a profitable business, that means that I also need to withdraw salary, which I don't. And with probably the upcoming wave of money, I'm also going to hire more people, because building a data vendor, it's hard. And I've been listening to some of our partners like Predict Leads, for example, and their founder shared that in the beginning, in the first year and a half, it was terrible, right? Like you're building something, there are a lot of gaps, like you receive feedback, yada yada. So it's like we're following that trajectory. But if you see where they're at, like kudos to the team, and I told them that like they're building something quite nice. So yeah, in that sense, I feel like we're on the right path. I can share a little bit more about the financial situation and how we evolved. So as mentioned, month one, what happened was that we reached 1.5K, and this was without converting the lifetime deals. Then what happened was that we reached the 2.5 threshold, and then all of the sudden we saw a lot of churn because we completed the transformation between leads on trees and Signalbase. We lost 80% of our revenue, which was
Pain.
very painful. We launched a party in January for vetted people. Like I had people from Oracle and all of these fancy companies, just to understand that the signal industry is not there for them. And the fact that the educational layer for in-house teams is very big, so you need to do a lot of stuff. So we learned a lot. We pivoted 2 times from building for agencies and teams. Then all of a sudden, we had people who gave us a hand, and then we realized, hey, being a vendor and helping other vendors is actually way nicer, because you and the founder on the other side realize the struggle rather than trying to fight it standalone. So fight it together. And
I mean, you've
that,
also built the infrastructure, so why not have it two
I
ways?
didn't know. I didn't know that we were building infrastructure. I
Yeah.
never signed up to be a founder of an infrastructure. I thought it's going to be easy money, but the market just a lot so rapidly. and I needed to find a way to survive. Also, a good thing to mention, I don't have, until last month, we did not have a full-time engineer. So everyone was running it part-time. And my co-founders till this day are also going to be part-time, and they will probably never go full-time. So it's just a reality of building a different company, and my biggest challenge as a CEO is dealing with all of these things. So yeah, a lot of patience, a lot of learning towards how to manage people, different type of people, etc., etc. Then what happened was that after we switched to the vendors, the thing picked up, and then we crossed 5K, and the rest is history. So what happened further down the line is, actually forgot to mention, in February we were stuck at 2K or 3K, something like this. And my co-founder said, hey, if we don't figure out till June, we need to kill the project. And that was a very harsh pillow to swallow, like because of the fact that I quit my very well paid job to pursue this. And that hit me one time under the waist, and then another time where this person who was the original founder of the company said that he wouldn't like to continue further with us. So we really needed to find someone. If not, we should have closed down once again. And just out of a magic hat, we put a hire for one day. So that saved the business significantly. And from then, this guy has been discovering a lot of gaps that were built from the first engineer. So right now we're truly focusing, especially over the summer, building even better product, refining logics, and all of these boring things that you don't think about them, but that's where the true revenue is headed. So yeah, that's the current story.
Very, very interesting. It just shows over and over again, I hear it all the time, that it's just their early years are painful. um,
For
and
sure, and it's a dogfight, huh? Like, especially because if you want to bootstrap, you're competing with VC-backed giants and
yeah,
also
maybe
10-year-old.
tell this part, maybe to contextualize, because we are looking at the whole scene. There's different vendors. There's Clay, which is also in the signal business. There's VC-backed companies with massive 18 million Series A funding. How do you want to plan to compete with these guys? And now we talked about the history. Let's have an outlook into the future. How do you want to scale from here? Now you've set a solid foundation. What's the plan? How do you make it big?
So, number one, keep on doing the hard work when it comes to marketing. I think it's already paying off quite significantly because there is word of mouth. We're closing pilots, net new pilots based on it. And this comes nicely through marketing. Right before the call, you also told me that there is someone that I need to talk to because he's seen us on LinkedIn, right? So the wheel is spinning in that regard. We are
How long
betting
did it
heavily.
take until you see the results? Because now we just set up the engine. It's slowly starting to work, but I feel like you have a lot of organic traction already built. So how long did it take for you? How long was the grind without seeing results?
I think in right whenever we switched the value proposition to becoming a real-time signal infra, that's where it picked up. So month 4,
Yeah,
maybe, or something like
nice.
this. But it once you set up the engine, you still need to iterate on it. And the fact that you set it up doesn't mean anything because you need to level up your content mediums. Right now I'm doing reports. We have programmatic SEO and I'm trying to scale it further. It's generated from proprietary data, which is super sick play. And it's something that generates us 52K visits a month or something like
Interesting.
this. And
50K.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can check our SEO analytics. Like that's fine.
interesting. Let me steal it.
And yeah, for sure, go ahead. And based on that, what also happens is that POG is compounding, right? On average, we have 14 signups or something like this. Sometimes even more, sometimes even less, depends, right? Like it's the slow days right now too. But mind you that out of these 14 signups, we do have at least 3 vendors. So it's a different ACV there
Agreed.
that plays game.
So tell me
And
more like
yeah,
these are results, but you have SEO, programmatic SEO. What does
Yeah.
marketing mean next to that? And what are the systems that are in place at the moment, which are systemized and which are the ones where you actually put in manual input? Because everybody's talking about Claude Code. Of course, we're using it. Of course, you're using it in some way. But yeah, how does the engine look like?
So all of the social listening is semi-automated, meaning I built Cloud Code setups to know when someone is posting on Reddit, and then I go and comment on there. We do have LinkedIn listening. Now I managed to find a way without a tool, which is actually quite nice. And then based on that, an automated version is the reports that you see that I publish. They're extracted with our MCP, and then I put it into my Cloud Code setup for content aggregation, and I just refine it with my strategy. All the content that you see from my side is my thoughts run through AI. So I just talk and then feed it with insights left and right. What does content mean? Or what does marketing mean? Well, optimizing the website. We're trying to update now a few things there. Then outside of that, we have Appify also as a growth lever, which is kind of interesting. We haven't nailed it down, but people do understand about us from there. And because of the fact that there we miss the webhooks and the enrichments, and it's not a proper play for vendors, right? They just come to us. So that's how we treat Appify at the moment. And then based on that, what we have is me running automated outbound for the evergreen campaigns. And then also I have the personalized layer. For that I use Ocean, by the way,
Yeah.
because
Nice.
it's hard to know everything that's going on to the amount of vendors that are popping out. So I do use that. And I do also have a setup for discovering leads on an evergreen manner via Product Hunt as well, or at least to start my enrichment process through it, because when I know that there is a logo, I start running the signal layer on top of it, and then I continue further. So I think that's pretty much it. It does involve quite a lot of hand holding still, but it definitely gets the job done, and it's definitely compounding. The next thing that I'm trying to unlock is cold email. I've been resisting it because, in my opinion, you running LinkedIn outreach can generate you calls way faster because people see you. And again, the familiarity effect
I mean,
plays.
I've run a lot of cold email for clients, and now we set up 220 inboxes. So
Okay.
yeah, the thing is actually cold email converts very fast into meeting bookings, but the problem is the reply rates are
Yeah.
trash. The conversion rates are very low. So you either have two options. That's what we talked about a bit before. Either you go very, very high signal, but even there, cold email reply rates are still very low. Like if you have a good signal outbound campaign, you might get like 10% if you're good. Like, of course, there are outliers, 15% reply rate, which is insane for cold email. But usually you linger around like 1 to 3% for normal campaigns. And then you can calculate the conversion rate out of it. So that's probably more like for tier 3 leads for you, or tier 2 leads where you just spray and pray a bit.
Yeah, totally. And this is the reason why, because so far we've been doing connection messages only. And that resonates quite well because I've been testing different formulas. So now I know what actually drives responses, like which type of copy, so I can transfer it and be ready to scale it. And this is a genuine advice for absolutely everyone, no matter if you're trying to build your signal-based go-to-market engine for the first time or anything as a whole, like in B2B, in like business. Just test it first manually and then see if that scales, because the amount of infrastructure calls that you can get up front and then waste time and money is ridiculous. So
Yep, agreed. Especially nowadays, the big question with AI is not if you can build it or how you can build it. It's more if you even should build it and allocate resources and time to it. So, what is your mental model for deciding what to scale? And this is something I ask regarding product, but also marketing. I think it applies to both.
Yeah, yeah. If it's a working growth lever, I'm definitely going to invest more.
Yeah,
Someone
makes sense.
previously asked me, "Hey Georgie, why don't you pay influencers?" Well, the thing is, we didn't try it directly. We incentivized them with free product usage, and that didn't work. And it's
Okay.
because of the fact that, at least
Good,
for
good to
me,
know because we wanted to try that too.
at least for me,
Yeah.
and this comes down because of the fact that everyone is paying those guys, and you cannot build a genuine connection. So you know it's not also genuine, and then you're like, but does it really make sense then?
I think also it comes down to the root cause because Clay isn't paying a lot of people to post about them. So there's a great saying, I think it comes from Naval Ravikant or something like that. If you do sales because your marketing sucks, you do marketing because your product sucks.
Yeah,
um, and
yeah,
it's not that you can't do any sales and can't do any marketing, but if you just have a good product, it is just an amplifier in all domains.
yeah,
So it probably comes down to that. Like if your product isn't good enough that people are happy to talk about it, like in our case, and I know other people, like I'm glad to talk positively about Signalbase as a customer because I just think they're doing great things. And if you're not at that stage, you probably just should head down and focus on product.
yeah. But you see exactly what I mean. You just said that because you really
Yeah,
like it, not
that's the
because I
thing.
pay
Yeah,
you to do it. And
yeah,
this is like the type of advice that people either way want to hear, because I think previously 80% of the purchases that happen in the world was through friends and family. So again, me and my psychology marketing principles, I know, but yeah, this is the reason why it works so well. And I feel like if you add to this the hype, right, that is around cloud code, then it makes sense why this converts. But I generally prefer to stay away from influencers right now because it's I don't know. I'm also the type of person who got asked a lot of times, "Hey, can you promote this? You have the audience." I genuinely wouldn't
yeah.
because it's not
Agreed.
genuine. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
It did.
Okay.
We drifted apart. I think we both went somewhere. So let me get back to the main road and ask you what can people expect coming out of Signalbase? You've mentioned custom signals. Are other things in the pipeline at the moment?
So first thing first, we're trying to really double down on where our bread is in that sense, which means even higher coverage, even better accuracy, even better
Tech
enrichment
stack is something,
capabilities.
right?
Yeah. And then we will be able to address, because if we rush into custom signals, sure, we can get it to you, but the amount of misinformation that you have is going to be ridiculous. So I want to avoid that because I know that a lot of vendors step into this trap previously. So in that regard, you become more like a leaky bucket, and this is an advice for every founder: double down on your product before you scale it. And many people say, "Oh yeah, I'm not sure. Like distribution is king, obviously." But you still need to fight that leaky bucket, and then you cannot really scale it. So this is one thing. A ton of cool content is coming too. So I'm trying to build reports and all of these things, which are driven from the industry by the industry.
So
And
maybe, sorry to interrupt you, but that's something I'm very curious about because you're working with great companies when it comes to some SaaS vendors, some top tier go-to-market agencies. What do you see across your clients and customers? What is working for them? Because I think you have very interesting insights there.
yeah, well, the use cases are very different, right? But ultimately, what we see from the guys that are running the outbound themselves is exactly what I've been preaching. Evergreen signal plus custom signal
Yeah,
equals nice response rates.
nice.
That's simple. And I think my outreach proves it too.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So maybe for the audience listening, once they might think now, hey, I want to set up a signal-based outbound campaign, but I don't know how to start. What is your advice for them to get started as fast as possible, essentially? Or
Right.
let's delay the instant gratification as cleanly as possible, which scales for the future.
Understand that in the core of signal based outbound, you have three steps. You have step number one, discovery. Doesn't matter if they're going to discover you or you're going to discover them. This is where outbound and inbound splits into two parts. After discovery, the next step is getting the context, because only then you know the true situation around this people. And lastly, you have the proposal or the engagement stage where you test the hypothesis based on the first two steps, and this context that you build in just resonates as part of your offer. So that's the foundation of it. And then outside of that, what I would recommend you guys is to just approach it as a sales funnel. So always evergreen signals and prospecting at the top. Then middle layer is intent and social listening for extracting extra pieces of information about your leads. And then bottom layer you have product CS and sales as part of your signal engine. So it's way more nuanced. If there are more questions, I can always address them in that sense, because there are like different nuances. But yeah, I would say follow the 3 steps and then the rest of your engine will be fine.
Yeah, awesome advice. So with this said, if you have any questions about signals, I'm going to drop the link of George's LinkedIn in the description, and also a link to Signalbase so that you can check it out if you want to get started. And with this, actually, Georgi, I'm very appreciative of you sharing your insights and also delivering a great product. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who listened. Here to help you guys out.